main units that make up the army are the land, air, and naval forces. The strength of the army is directly related to the success of these three units. Naval forces are of critical importance, especially for the armies of coastal countries. Therefore, the importance of naval power and ports in the Russia-Ukraine war cannot be denied. As a matter of fact, both countries have coasts on the seas. The fact that both countries have coasts to the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov further increases the importance of the naval power. Therefore, the Crimean peninsula is at the heart of the Russia-Ukraine war. The seas can be used as supply lines and ports can be considered as sources of financial income that will help the army to strengthen. When all these details are carefully examined, it is seen that in a war between two countries with coasts, dominating the seas and ports means being one step ahead in the war. For this reason, conflicts and explosions frequently occur in various port cities, as well as on the Crimean peninsula. One of these port cities is Berdyansk in the Zaporizhia region of southern Ukraine. Russian occupiers are present in certain areas of the city of Berdyansk. The Kremlin uses the port of Berdyansk to distribute Ukrainian metal and grain to many countries around the world, including Russia. For this reason, the Ukrainian army has targeted the city of Berdyansk many times to repel Russian invaders from the port and other areas. Recently, it was reported that the Ukrainian army hit a warehouse near the Russian port of Berdyansk with British-made Storm Shadow missiles. With the explosion of the warehouse, the Russian Navy in the harbor was terrified. In the images shared on social media, it is seen that ships belonging to the Russian Navy fled from the harbor. As a matter of fact, the authorities also made statements and posts on this issue. Let's examine the developments regarding the Ukrainian army's operations in the port of Berdyansk and the departure of Russian Navy ships from the region. According to the statement made by the military administration of the city of Berdyansk, the Ukrainian army launched missiles at the port area, aiming for a number of ships belonging to the Russian Navy to escape from the region. Indeed, after the attack, the ships of the Russian invaders left the port. Footage of the attack became a hot topic on social media. In these images, clouds of smoke rising from the port of Berdyansk are clearly visible. Ivan Fedorov, the mayor of Melitopol in Ukraine, was one of the people who posted on social media after the invaders' warehouse near the port of Berdyansk was hit. In his post on his Telegram account, Fedorov made the following assessments about the attack. It is loud in temporarily occupied Berdyansk. Cotton bloomed in the port through which Russians exported the loot. The explosions were heard all over the suburbs. The word cotton in Fedorov's post is a word used by the Russian media to downplay the Ukrainian offensive. Fedorov uses the word in an ironic reference to the invaders. War analysts and writers have also commented on the Ukrainian offensive targeting the port of Berdyansk. Ryber, a Russian military blogger, shared details of the attack in a message on his Telegram account. Ryber said, "According to preliminary information, 3 to 6 Storm Shadow missiles hit the city. Judging by the footage that appeared on the network, a rocket or its fragments fell on a construction site on the port territory, 150 meters from the grain terminal of the Berdyansk seaport." The Russian occupiers announced that 9 people were injured as a result of the attack. No casualties were reported. Storm Shadow missiles were added to the Ukrainian army's inventory thanks to military aid provided by the United Kingdom to Ukraine. With the addition of these missiles to the Ukrainian military's inventory, the number of attacks on Russia and the occupied territories has increased significantly. So much so that, according to the satellite data analyzed, more than 900 fires broke out in the occupied territories in the last month. This number shows that the number of explosions and fires has quadrupled in the last month. War analysts say that this increase is related to Storm Shadow missiles. These missiles are considered invisible and can reach a range of more than 250 kilometers. These missiles are thought to change the fate of the Russia-Ukraine war. Indeed, a US military official said in an interview that the Storm Shadow missiles are a real game changer for a range perspective. At the same time, UK Defense Secretary Ben Wallace said they would give Ukraine the best chance to defend itself against Russia's continued brutality. The explosion in the port of Berdyansk, targeted by the Ukrainian army with Storm Shadow missiles, brought to mind the explosions in recent weeks. The Ukrainian army targeted the military bases of the occupiers in the village of Novopetrivka near Berdyansk. The Khimik and Vesna recreational facilities used by the occupiers as military bases were blown up in this attack. These attacks clearly demonstrate the determination of the Ukrainian army. The Ukrainian army has been preparing for a counteroffensive called Operation Spring for a long time. Ukrainian leader Zelensky has repeatedly stated that the military aid packages announced by the West and Europe must be delivered to the country as soon as possible in order to carry out this attack. In an interview with a US broadcaster the other day, Zelensky hinted that the Ukrainian army is ready for a spring operation. Zelensky said, "We strongly believe that we will succeed. I don't know how long it will take. To be honest, it can go a variety of ways, completely different, but we are going to do it, and we are ready." The Ukrainian army is ready to carry out the spring operation, but seems to be waiting for the most opportune moment. The spring operation has not yet begun, but the number of attacks by the Ukrainian army against the Russian invaders has increased. The intensity of the operation is evident even before it starts. As the Ukrainian army's successful operations to repel the Russians from the occupied territories continue, the Russian occupiers continue to lose. While Russian leader Vladimir Putin is dealing with the problems arising from the disagreements between factions within the army, the main problem of the army, the lack of military personnel and ammunition, is constantly increasing. Russian leader Vladimir Putin and his occupying supporters are getting more and more cornered every day. Putin, who thought he could win the war in a few weeks, may lose it in a few weeks as the Ukrainian army launches its spring operation. In addition to the Storm missiles used in the recent incident in Berdyansk, Patriot systems, Bayraktar drones, Leopard 2 tanks and many other important weapons have been added to the Ukrainian army's inventory, thanks to military aid from Western and European countries. These weapons have changed the color of the war. Russia is exhausted by Western and European sanctions, while the Russian army is exhausted by Western and European support for Ukraine. What do you think about the Storm Shadow missiles? Do you think they have changed the course of the war? When will the Ukrainian army start a spring operation? Will Putin give up his decision to invade as a result of this operation? We are curious about your opinions. Follow us for more updates.